A brand new book and multiple reports shed light on Marvel Studios from its beginning all the way towards the end of Avengers Endgame, and the contractual process and why Marvel Studios was looking at a majority of the Avengers as potentially all leaving after Endgame. So we all know, due to past reports and what was confirmed, that prior to Avengers Infinity War, many of the actors had already gone through their contracts. From Chris Evans to Chris Hemsworth to especially Robert Downey Jr., for example, his contract was obviously the most expensive. So it's not surprising that Marvel Studios was looking at the Trinity and some of the other Avengers and looking at the realistic possibility that their story had to wrap up because their time was coming up, and Avengers Endgame signified the end of all of this. So now what we recently found out with multiple reports, articles, and statements out there, such as the ones from the Reign of Marvel Studios book, Kevin Feige says he knew it was a matter of time after the success that the original Avengers film found that all these actors would, one, get too old, two, would naturally want to eventually leave, and three, the story had to go on without them. So when it came to this, they more or less decided Endgame did sort of have to be an endpoint to a lot of these stories, character arcs, and what they're doing, because one, the continuity was getting overly long and complex and they need more new characters. Two, you can't just keep pumping out the movies based on the same characters, because that's how you realistically get into the DC problem, where everybody's going to go see Batman, they'll see a little bit of Superman, but they're not showing up for anything else by the sounds of it, unless something happens to catch their eye, but who knows how the sequel's going to perform. So it kind of does make sense that they were looking at this whole scenario in a realistic way, going, well, we think most of them will leave. And so far we know at least two of the Trinity are gone for now. Thor is obviously still around, but with Chris Hemsworth's diagnosis and medical stuff, who knows if he'll stick around and how. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next and how they sort of tackle this whole post-Endgame, multiple phases that are going to lead to new phases that are going to soft reboot things possibly, and what does that mean, you know? So we'll see how it goes, but it's awesome that at least they knew, look, we can't keep dragging out a dead horse and beating it to death every time. So Robert Downey Jr. can't come back every film, because what's the point?